Welcome to the NCAA Baseball Regionals presented by Capital One. It is decision day here in Oklahoma City. UConn taking on the number 9 national seed Oklahoma State, fighting for the right to advance to Lubbock to take on the Texas Tech Red Raiders. UConn has had to battle through 3 straight elimination games to get to this point, the regional championship, to take on an Oklahoma State team that they beat last night. And we've seen some unbelievable performances in the previous 3 days here in Oklahoma City, including the play. Anthony Prado out of nowhere because his buddy David Langer lost it in the sun. Number 1 play in the Sports Center top 10. And then Trevor Boone, not to be outdone. His guys down until that swing, a 3-run bomb, and the bash to lead Oklahoma State to the win against Nebraska. And then in the matchup between these two teams last night, a 3-run lead for Jacob Wallace, more than enough. He saw 7 Cowboys. He struck out 7 Cowboys, a career high for one of the top bullpen arms in America. With that, hello and welcome to Oklahoma City. I'm Loa Galindo here with my guy, Keith Moreland. Now, coming into this, big storyline was UConn. We knew the guys could play. It's been a surprise, though, the way they have played. They have absolutely hit the ball all across this field to the tune of better than 400 is their batting average. It's been unreal to watch.
Well, you just look at it. They were a team that really lived and died with their pitching and score a run here or there and that type of thing. But yesterday's game, big home run late. This is a 2-run game. Mata comes up with a big home run right there, 2-run shot, and then they turn it over to their guy coming out of the bullpen. All he does is punch out all 7 batters he faces. He's got an explosive fastball and a great slider. Across the board, though, this UConn club is out hitting everybody here. They have more hits than all the teams combined. They have more extra base hits than all the team combined. And then that last part, down at the bottom, only 3 walks out of their bullpen, 30 Ks. That's phenomenal pitching coming out of the bullpen.
Great news for them. Wallace, Worcester, and Dandino, their top bullpen arms, all available in this game, despite the fact all 3 pitched last night in the win against Oklahoma State. Big concern for the Cowboys in that loss. They tied a season high with 17 strikeouts. We know they are a swing-and-miss bunch, but 40 strikeouts so far in this regional, that is cause for concern.
Yeah, they've been a swing-and-miss bunch pretty much all year. They were top 10 in home runs, but the problem is they haven't been able to have any good quality at bats back-to-back-to-back. Only time that's happened was the 8th and the 9th inning against Nebraska in Game 2 that put them into the regional final last night. Other than that, they've only scored 5 runs. They have a team batting average of 194. They've got to find a way to put some hits together and then hit some balls out of the ballpark. Extra base hit, slugging percentage helps them win games.
It's a team with 12 home runs in a single game this season, so it does not take long for these Oklahoma State bats to get high. It all comes down to this. Joe Linhard on the mound for Oklahoma State. Kenny House will get the rock for UConn. Winner to Lubbock and the Super Regionals. It's all coming up next from Oklahoma City. Chickasaw Bricktown Ballpark in downtown Oklahoma City. UConn and Oklahoma State, the deciding game. Jim Penders has been here before, the same situation. He's the winningest UConn coach in history. Back in 2011, the only time they've been to the Supers, they lost the first game of the Clemson Regional, came back to win 4 straight, and punched that ticket to the Supers. He's got a lineup that's clicking at the right time. Anthony Prado had a clutch shot last night for UConn.
Well, he's 9 for 19. He's hit a homer. He's driven in 4 runs. He's been impeccable on the defensive side. He's like a coach on the field. But what he's done offensively is what's been impressive. 9 hits. That's just incredible. 5 players on the UConn club have 8 hits. Oklahoma State has have 5 hits. 8 players have 5 hits. Oklahoma State doesn't have a player with 5 hits in this tournament.
Linhard is going to be the guy on the mound. Joe Linhard, his pops was a pitcher here at Oklahoma State, and the senior is ready for what he hopes is not his final appearance for Oklahoma State.
Yeah, he's got a 3-pitch mix. He's got a decent fastball. You can see 88 to 91. He's got to be able to command his breaking ball. Throw the breaking ball for strike. He has also thrown 11 wild pitches. So it'll be important. He's got a good spinner, but he's got to be able to throw that spinner for a strike.
Good news for UConn. John Topa is leading off. He's been the regular leadoff man and starting left fielder for the Huskies as Linhard starts off with the first pitch strike. Yesterday, in the midst of a doubleheader, his body essentially shut down. The entire thing cramped up. Had to go get an IV. Had an evening to rest. Tough guy, back in the starting nine for the Huskies.
Well, it was a warm day and had to play a doubleheader in the afternoon. Sometimes that happens to you.
Fouls it back. UConn won the first game of the regional final 5-3 against Oklahoma State. That was after a 16-1 win against Nebraska right before. 5-2 was the final of that first matchup between these two teams.
Got him set up to go to that good breaking ball. Here 2-2, see what he goes to.
To right field, Cabe Cavanis is there. And it's swung down. This is the road for the Huskies. It was a bizarre opener against Nebraska. They had 19 hits, struck out 16 batters, and somehow lost 8-5. A big reason why. 4 double plays.
Yeah, 4 double plays. They were 3 for 16 with runners in scoring position. Since that point, they have been a machine offensively. They have, on a regular basis, had multiple hits per inning and extra base hits.
Anthony Prado, the guy with the Staten Island swagger, this is their guy, the starting shortstop. Really muscled up on one last night. As this one is grounded to Christian Funk, and it's 2 down. But that home run by Prado last night, that really was the difference. A 2-run shot to left field gave UConn some insurance, extending their lead to 3. And they turned it over to Jacob Wallace, and he did the rest.
When you're in a 1-run ball game in a must-win situation, you'd love to get some insurance, and that's exactly what he gave them last night.
Michael Woodworth also red hot, 9 for 20, 2 doubles and a triple. He's driven in 6, but Joe Linhard working well through the top of this UConn lineup.
That's the command of that breaking ball right there. They have just not gone 1-2-3 in an inning. Seems like at any point during this regional have the Huskies. That's the other part that's been amazing. They just can extend inning and 2-out hitting and 2-strike hitting. They've done everything offensively you want to do.
Only 4 times have they been retired. 1, 2, 3. And this is game number 5 for UConn. Linhard looking to make it a 1-2-3 inning. Senior from Wichita. And that's right in the back of Woodworth. And Woodworth with good wheels.
He's the one guy in the lineup that will run and run on a regular basis. He's got good speed. Also, you got a good-looking young freshman, Pat Winkle, coming to the plate right here. It's a good-looking young player.
Yeah, today is day 1 of the Major League Baseball draft. Give him a few years, and Pat Winkle figures to be a high selection. Was going to be one out of high school. I told the various Major League clubs that he wanted to sign with UConn. Play here with his older brother, Chris Winkle, the starting first baseman. We saw him deposit one beyond the bullpen out in right field. That was the first day of the tournament. And it looked like this. Winkle gets one to rip, and it's a no-doubter, Keith.
Well, he gets great extension. He stays real compact for a big man. And boy, he put a charge in that one right there. We've seen him do a nice job. He'll also stay on it and go the other way.
To center field, this will drop. Woodworth taking the turn. He'll be waved to third. And it's first and third, UConn with 2 outs.
Just got through saying that he will stay on the ball. This is a changeup away from him right there. Stays on it. You can see him go out. Didn't get a lot of it, but got enough on it. That's because he doesn't think pull. You know, most young 18-year-old young men, they think I've got to pull the ball. Be a good hitter, you use the whole field.
It's going to bring up Christian Fedko, UConn, the only team in America with two sets of brothers that have all played in 25 games this year. The Fedkos and the Winkles. Fedko, the most clutch hitter in this UConn lineup. That's way outside. Colin Simpson, team leader for Oklahoma State. He's the battery mate with Joe Linhart.
Now, these are two seniors, two veterans. You're going to put your season on the line. You've got two guys that have played a lot of baseball together here at Oklahoma State. Josh Holliday making that decision.
Linhart, top 10 in Oklahoma State history in number of appearances in his career. Fedko unleashes one to left field. McCusker going back. Will it stay fair? Does he make the catch? Let's see. He does. Carson McCusker in the coffin corner comes down with it.
Gets back into the part that we have a tough time in this part of the park to see and makes an outstanding play to end the inning.
.6'8", like Carson McCusker, and to have some wheels as well. He tracked that ball down in the corner. Don't have a great angle to see the catch, but jumped to make it in foul territory right at the fence. That's a big potential turn of events here for Oklahoma State, as Josh Holliday would love to see this team start off with the lead.
Well, they would love to play with the lead. Offensively, they're trying to get it going, and you look at their order from top to bottom, it does damage. It's got power at the top, power at the bottom, top 10 in the nation in home runs. And you just look at that lineup, and each one of them have the capability of hitting it out of the park. But this team goes offensively how Colin Simpson goes, and he's had some struggles in the last 5 ball games. They need to get him going.
Houston Morrow will lead off facing Kenny House. First pitch ball. House is making his 3rd appearance in the 4th day of this NCAA regional.
Real deceptive delivery. He turns his back to home plate, 88 to 91. Needs to command. Does that there. He's a guy that has gone 75, 80 pitches in his time, but he's thrown a lot of pitches over the weekend already here, but getting the start.
So it's been 32 pitches thrown over 2 appearances, 3 totals innings pitched for Kenny House. Now the strength of UConn is the bullpen. It's typically the starting pitching, but their bullpen among the best nationally with C.J. Dandino, Caleb Worcester, Jacob Wallace. All 3 pitched yesterday, but approached pitching coach Joshua McDonald and said, we are ready for tonight. No argument, we're pitching.
Everybody wants to be involved. Everybody's got their cleats on and ready to go. House does not walk many people. He's only walked 9 this season, but falls behind here to the leadoff hitter.
3-1. Morrill pops it up, and this gets out of play. Well, we talked about the toughness of John Topa. Give a lot of credit to the toughness of the Oklahoma State leadoff hitter as well, Houston Morrill. He was out for about a week leading up to this regional because he got hit on the hand in the Big 12 tournament. His hand swelled, wasn't able to practice. With a big question mark whether he would start the first game. He played, but we saw him in this tournament also get hit once again on the hand and had to leave the game. And he is back and ready to go.
Kenny House is one of those guys. With that little turn, he turns his back to the plate. A lot of times it's deceptive. You don't know where the ball's going to come from when it comes out of it. Ball jumps up on you a little bit.
3-2. Another foul ball. So the 8th pitch of the at-bat coming from Kenny House to the shortstop of the future for Oklahoma State, and Houston Morrill, freshman out of Florida. Through the gap on the right side, well struck by Morrill. Oklahoma State, number 9 seed nationally. They opened up against Harvard. They won that game 2-0. Jensen Elliott with a fabulous pitching performance, but scored both runs without getting the ball out of the infield when scoring those runs. Dramatic come from behind win against Nebraska. They were down, but they had Trevor Boone come up with a 3-run shot, gave them the 1-run lead. They were able to hold on. And then that 5-2 loss against these Huskies last night. Here's Christian Funk. Now this is the beginning of one of the dangerous 4-person tandems in any lineup that you'll see in regional play. Funk, Simpson, Navigato, Boone, all guys with double-digit home runs. Waves at that one, and Funk is down 0-2.
Well, that's been a big pitch for House in this regional tournament, is the ability to go to his changeup right there. Got great arm speed with it. He's got enough fastball in low 90s, so if you're looking for the changeup, you can't get to his fastball. So
another quick move to check on Morrill. This is an Oklahoma State team that's pretty stationary on the bases. They'll mix it up when they need to, but their MO is get guys on, bring them around with extra base hits.
They're looking for 3-run homers.
That misses to make it 1-2.
They're a big swinging ball club. You've already mentioned the strikeouts they've had in this regional. But they've also hit the ball in the ballpark. The home run helped them win game 2 against Nebraska. Man right there, Trevor Boone.
Boone and McCusker, the Oklahoma State players with home runs here. Nice play behind the plate by Pat Winkle.
He's an outstanding. You just don't see many young freshmen, 18 years old, to be as good behind the plate as Winkle is. He's got really good hands, an excellent receiver, blocks the ball well, and he's got a really good arm.
They were able to give him a little bit of a rest as Thad Phillips started at catcher last night. The second game for UConn had a key play in the 3rd inning to take away momentum. This one is lofted to right field. Tough play on the run. Tyler Fedko gets it. He drops it. Is it the exchange, though? The throw to second base. They're saying,
now you go back, and all you have to do is go back, take the ball to first base, and this is a double play. Now it should be a double play. Did he go back and tag? If he didn't go back and tag, this is what Jim Penders is coming out to say. It was in the exchange. The first base umpire said it was in the middle of the exchange. And if Morrill did not go back and tag up, he can't advance to second base.
I don't think Morrill did tag up. He was halfway. And as soon as he saw that ball drop, he broke.
Now you can go back to the mound. Come to the set position. And appeal first base. The umpires are going to come together here. But the initial call, Lowell, was a catch and an exchange. Ray Gregson, the first base umpire, went immediately to that call. He made the call immediately. He said, catch. He said, and he motioned the exchange.
That is so tough for Morrill, though, because he sees the ball pop out. He's not looking probably at the ump, and he starts to break for second base. I'll take another look here.
He's considered that a catch, and now he's going to make the exchange right here. The umpires are going to get together. Morrill went down to second base right there. Did he go back to the bag and tag up? That would be the question.
This is going to be a pivotal call
Early in this
here.
game.
So there is Morrill. Picks it up. Starts to come back, but as soon as he sees the ball pop out of Fedko's glove, he goes to second. But in that situation, what are you supposed to do if you're Morrill?
This is going to be an interesting call right here. This is going to be a fairly lengthy discussion and exactly what they're going to do. And neither team, if they say, well, he's going to be able to go back to first base because the call was, he didn't read the call or whatever, Jim Penders is going to be quite upset.
Yeah.
And on the other side, Josh Holliday's going to be quite upset if they say he's out at first base. See the play again, get the opportunity to go over to it.
Now, is there any doubt that he makes that catch?
I think he caught the ball, took a step, and was going in to make the exchange. Here comes the call. This is a long discussion that's going to continue.
And they're calling out the coaches. So Holliday and Penders will meet with the crew. Scott Kennedy, the home plate umpire.
Like to be a bug, a fly, to go down and listen to this discussion, because this is going to be a hard explanation.
I like the suggestion from the crowd I just heard. Give him a mulligan. Do it again. That's just an impossible play for Houston Morrill to know what to do. Because if that ball is not ruled a catch, he has to book it to get there obviously in time to not be forced out.
Look at the opportunity to see this one more time. Fedko comes in, reaches over backhand, secures the ball. Now he's going in with his hand as he's looking up, trying maybe to throw back to first base, and the ball comes out. Watching that, you don't see on that replay, is Gregson, the first base umpire, immediately goes in, and they're going to review this.
All right.
As you can review whether this is a catch or a no catch. The initial call was a catch. And reviewable plays in college baseball, catch or no catch, the third one down, would be the term that they're looking at here.
So you would imagine they're looking to make sure this is a catch. Now the next step is, if it is a catch.
The ruling on the field was called a catch. Let's start with that.
Yeah. But the next layer to that, if they confirm that, is Morrill then out?
I concur that he is out. I would say I would be in agreement with that statement that you just made, that he's out at first base because he did not go back to tag up. Chance to see it again.
Now they overturn this. You got runners on first and second, and nobody
Correct.
out.
I'm gonna hunt your dreams, Blue.
One more time right here. Reaches. Ball's in the glove. Umpire raises his right hand there. Then when he goes in to pull it, he motions. Gregson, the first base umpire, motions out, going in to get it.
Now here's the thing. Fedko throws to second base.
He does.
Almost as if he did drop the ball.
Well, if you see a runner going to a bag,
You're gonna go there?
Your initial thought would be to go to second base. Interesting call. It's very important here in the bottom of the first inning with the Super Regionals on the line.
And we've really stopped trying to guess which way these calls are going to go. We saw one early in the tournament on a stolen base at second base, and we for sure thought there was no way it would be overturned, and indeed it was.
Well, this is a long discussion. The most important thing here is to get it right. Still a long discussion here. Both head coaches are, you're making a decision what do you want to do. This time Kenny House, who's out on the mound, is lightly tossing here to make sure he stays loose.
I really like that they brought review to college
absolutely.
baseball.
You want the calls right.
Certain things need to be cleaned up. Pace of play is important. That's something that baseball is trying to address on every level. It's tough to stress pace of play when you have reviews that take this long. But ultimately, like you said, trying to get it right.
Well, it is so important to these two groups of student athletes to get it right.
Well, it's only going to be right for one side.
Well, but if in my opinion, if it's a catch, if you make a catch and it is called an out in the scenario, and the umpire immediately goes and says the ball was dropped in the exchange, the ball's thrown back into the infield, Morrill has to go back to first base to advance.
Yes.
So those are rules of the game that have been here since Abner was around and created them. So in that scenario, if the catch is called a catch, there could be an appeal to get an out at first base on this as well.
And how you would potentially get around that, I have no idea. Like you said, that's baseball. It goes back 100+ years.
But this is an extensive review. We cover a lot of college baseball, and this is by far the longest one we've ever had.
Yeah, and the one with the most layers to it. It's more than just the catch out and right. It's then what happens to Morrill if it is indeed confirmed as a catch in right field.
Yeah, I think the first thing is the catch. If that's confirmed.
No doubt there.
And if you're Morrill right here, if this is deemed a catch, he's coming back to the bag, and then right here he says, he thinks it wasn't caught, and he takes off for second. He never came back to first base. In that scenario, he can't not be awarded second base on that. So here comes the call.
And Jim Penders will follow the crew out. Here comes Josh Holliday. And there's a long explanation that's going along with it. This is not run-of-the-mill.
This is taking a long time to explain.
The call is confirmed.
It's a double play. If the catch was a catch, they did get the ball to first base while it was still live without timeout. So it's going to be a put out at first base and a double play.
Wow. Talk about the swing of what it means from two runners on and nobody out if they rule that a no catch.
Oh, it's
to 2 outs. for Colin Simpson now.
And none of them can.
And first pitch out of the delay is a ball from Kenny House, who was doing his best to try to keep loose and warm during that delay.
Back-to-back changeup to start the at-bat. Simpson has been that straw that stirs the drink for the Cowboys. He'd love to get something going right here.
Josh Holliday says this team belongs to Colin Simpson. They call him Tank. He's a big dude, compact, and he puts together some thunderous hacks. Fun to watch. Showing discipline here, and it's 3-1.
Yeah, and House, you just look at Kenny House. Yeah, the one guy that it's really difficult to get back in sometimes mentally is, as long as that delay is for the pitcher.
Yeah. Ripped, but foul. Going back to that play that we just saw, just to reiterate, I do not know what Houston Morrow does in that situation.
Well, you sort of got to watch the umpire, because the umpire immediately, he just happened to be in my eye level looking at the play, so I saw him immediately put his right arm up.
3-2. And he fouls it off himself.
Better review it.
You're in no man's land, though, Doug.
Oh, yeah. Gets Simpson swinging. The 41st time Oklahoma State has struck out in this OKC Regional. We're done with the inning and the review. Welcome back to Oklahoma City. This just in, Darren Erstad has resigned as the head coach of Nebraska baseball. Released a statement saying the bottom line is, I do not want to miss seeing our kids grow up. I want to thank our administration and academic staff for all their support over the last 8 years. Go Big Red forever. And we were witness to the final games of Darren Erstad's run at Nebraska, and it ended with that 16-1 loss.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. Good man, good baseball man. College baseball missing.
Started off so well here in Oklahoma City for Darren Erstad. They opened up with an 8-5 win over this UConn team, and then had a great opportunity taking on Oklahoma State, ultimately dropping that game 5-0 in a game that they led until 2 outs in the 9th inning. This is Paul Gazzo hitting in the DH spot. Joe Linhart gets Gazzo gazing.
Well, we talked about in the open, his scouting report had to command his breaking ball, and that's exactly what he did right there. It's his bread and butter. He can put it in the right spot. He make it really difficult, especially on right-handed hitters. Boy, he dropped it in on the corner right there and got the call.
This is Kyler Fedko, one of the Fedko brothers out of Pennsylvania. Had a home run Sunday against Nebraska, his 5th on the year. Took it to left field. And it's 1-1.
see many right-handed pitchers that like to use the changeup to right-handed hitters. You will see that from Joe, though. He throws a good one right there. That's one of the pitches that he will mix in. He is a guy that has to have a mix of all of his arsenal.
And it's 2-2. Linhart known for his smile, his energy. Usually the guy on the bench waving the towel. But you can see with the trip to the Supers on the line, he is locked in. And yes, back-to-back strikeouts for Joe Linhart.
A really good mix of pitches. He used the fastball in this at-bat. He used the changeup in this at-bat. Came back to the slider. You see the barrel of the bat definitely crosses the plate. The right call. Sits and gets the tag.
This is Stad Phillips. Talked about the final game of Darren Erstad's career at Nebraska. In that game, Phillips was a home run shy of the cycle. Just gets a piece and he's down 0-2.
Every pitcher's got how they want to get into rhythm. This big right-hander wants to work quickly. He wants to get the ball and go.
And how about that? 3 strikeouts for Joe Linhart. To wrap up the top of the second, the senior ready to carry his team. Lubbock on the line here at OKC. The reason we are here in Oklahoma City instead of Stillwater is because of the flooding. Allie P. Reynolds Stadium essentially underwater. The outfield made the playing conditions unplayable. So it was a last-second decision. As Oklahoma State was playing here in Oklahoma City in the Big 12 Championship, they realized we're likely hosting, but our field is underwater. So they had to scramble and look for alternate places to play. Josh Holliday was talking to the grounds crew here and just mentioned in passing, what do you guys have going on next week? He said, well, the Oklahoma City Dodgers, the AAA club that plays here, they're still out of town. And so the process began to get clearance to host the regional here in Oklahoma City. Now, it was tough for Holliday because they're closing out Allie P. Reynolds Stadium.
Oh, they are.
The team did all the work to deserve hosting it at their home stadium. They're glad to be the number 9 regional seed. Just really wish they would have had a chance to close down Reynolds Stadium and stop.
Yeah, our prayers have been with all the folks in northern and eastern Oklahoma. They have had a tremendous amount of flooding. The Arkansas River at all-time heights. They've had some warm weather. We have had good weather other than 1 3-hour delay during this regional.
Andrew Navigato leading off. And it's 3-1. And it's obvious. You can see it on TV. The infield is beat up. Reasons for that, partly because of the rain, and also the fact that this place hosted 15 games last week of the Big 12 tournament. Navigato puts a charge in it. But it's to Michael Woodward.
You can see House right here. He's moving that arm around. He's worked 3 days in a row. He's trying to make sure he stays good and loose, uses stuff. I would think that 40 to 50 might be the end of his window.
This is Trevor Boone, the man with the mightiest blast we've seen this week. And this is what he did. Damage was done, literally and figuratively. The bat flip, and if you look closely, that H in Chickasaw, he punched a hole in it, Keith.
Well, he hit it a long way. That's a far blast, that's for sure. And at the time, it was such a huge part of the game. They had trailed the entire ball game, and that 3-run homer gave them a 6-5 victory.
That was the difference. 20th home run of the season. That leads the Big 12. And this is the resulting damage, collateral damage. Yep, Trevor Boone, you did that. I wouldn't feel bad at all.
It was high and far.
Roy Hobbs-esque, as we've been calling it. 0-2. And Kenny House with the punch out, his second.
Oh, this is a really nice job of setting up. 3 breaking balls in the at-bat and then go with the high fastball. Got Boone to go outside the zone right here. You can see it up there over the plate. Couldn't get on top of it.
Bryce Carter with 2 outs. It's crazy to think, too, that the only game that UConn has lost is when they started one of the better pitchers in America, one of the top lefties in Mason Fioli. Should be a fairly high draft pick. And he just was not the same guy that we saw when he was an All-American last season, as Nebraska got to him and what was an 8-5 win for the Huskers to open up. Two-one. Fioli lasted 5, served up 7 earned runs, struck out 8, walked 3, did become the career leader in strikeouts, UConn history. That is chopped. And it's a full count. Had pretty solid crowds through the 4 days. Most of them obviously wearing orange. Smacked, but foul. It's been a really banner week in Oklahoma City for this Oklahoma State program and softball as well. We saw it early on. Oklahoma State softball playing in the Women's College World Series. They made a point to come out to batting practice. See Coach Holliday's guys work out. The baseball team returned the favor and went to Hall of Fame Stadium that night to watch the softball squad hit well down the line, and that's foul. It's not too often, though, that you have 2 teams from the same university in the same town in postseason play.
You're right. You're exactly right. But Women's College World Series final series, UCLA and Oklahoma starting tonight.
Oklahoma State trying to flash back to 93 and see both softball and baseball in the World Series. Work to do here for Oklahoma State. They got to win this game, then go to Lubbock to take on Texas Tech. Swing and a miss as Kenny House has struck out 3 of the last 4 batters he's faced.
NCAA Baseball Regionals is presented by Capital One. What's in your wallet? And in part by Skittles. Taste the rainbow.
Welcome back to Oklahoma City. Final day of the OKC Regional. As we have no score going into the top of the 3rd, Chris Winkle leading off as Joe Linhard was brilliant last inning, striking out Gazzo, Fedko, and Phillips.
Get to this time of the night, shadow no longer a factor with the hitter and the pitcher, but really a factor for the right fielder here at the Bricktown Ballpark in Oklahoma City. For the next 30 minutes, it is difficult to see the ball in right field.
Well, we saw Cade Cabanis deal with that yesterday. One of the first balls that goes out there, he's battling the sun, and it actually hit off his leg, and it was brutally ruled an error. But from your experience, there's no shot with the sun right in your eyes, even with the shades.
No chance. You got shades, you're using your glove, you're doing everything you can do. It is difficult right now in right field.
1-2 to Chris Winkle. Older brother of Pat, who was a lone single for UConn. One hit each. As Oklahoma State also has a leadoff single by Houston Morrill.
Big shift on right here.
And full count. Both teams have had their close calls. We had that lengthy 11.5-minute review that ended up wiping out what maybe could have been a first and second situation. No outs. Instead turned it into a double play. 3-2. That is a leadoff walk. And we also had the catch that was made by McCusker in left field with 2 on in the first inning. As he caught it in foul territory on a ball that was awfully close to challenging for a home run. And still no score. Back to the top of the lineup in John Topa.
Well, Jim Penders has been known to sacrifice pretty early in ball games. His offense has been so good in this tournament that he hasn't used it very often. See what happens here.
Topa showed bunt. The first pitch ball. Typically, Jim Penders likes to let his guys have freedom offensively. Wants them to mash and bash. But this season, they don't have the most dynamic offense in his words. So early in games, they try to scratch across runs any way they can to get a lead for their bullpen. That has not been the case here in Oklahoma City because of the way they are hitting the ball. With Weiss, they have set season highs for hits in a game.
And 19 in game 1, 22 in game 3.
Topa shows bunt. It's down the line. Garcia stays put. And Linhard makes the play off the mound, but job well done as Winkle moves up to scoring position.
Excellent bunt right there. Get you.
Now batting the shortstop, Anthony Prado.
Nose out there in it. You really got to be committed to be good at sacrifice bunt. Perfectly placed right there. This has been the guy that's made this team go right here.
What do you like about Anthony Prado?
Well, I think he's a grinder. He's one of those guys that he grinds every at bat out. A little open stance. He's used the whole field. He's hit an opposite field ball down the line for extra bases. He's hit a ball out of the ballpark to left field. He's got 9 hits in this regional.
And the defensive play of the regional. To the right side, Morrill makes a play. For more coverage of the Division I baseball regionals and interactive brackets, go to NCAA.com. Sure, a lot of site traffic today as we will know the super regional participants by the end of the night. Who is going to Lubbock to take on Texas Tech, and Josh Young, who figures to be a first-round pick tonight. This is Woodworth. Talked to Jim Penders before the start of the game and talked about the makeup of his team. A lot of blue-collar guys. But what he likes the most is being in the Northeast. Some of his guys are white-collar players. But even those guys from really affluent backgrounds, they all play with the blue-collar mentality.
Got to get away from that pitch right there. He got away with one. That was a breaking ball that stayed up about the buckle. Woodworth has been one of those guys that's been very productive. He's been good with 2 outs. The entire team has, by the way.
2 outs and 2 strikes as well.
Yeah. He had a 5-hit game in this tournament already.
Looking for a 2-out knock here. Chance for Navigado, the backhand off balance, but makes the play in time. And no score. as we go to the bottom of the third regional final here in Oklahoma City. Welcome back to the NCAA Baseball Regionals presented by Capital One. Noah Galindo here with Keith Moreland in Oklahoma City. We already know the winner of this knows where they're going to go next, and that is Lubbock, Texas, to take on Tim Tadlock and the Texas Tech Red Raiders. Just don't know who it's going to be.
They've got some really interesting matchups. Mike Martin traveling. LSU. Ole Miss and Arkansas. Here's some really good matchups already.
Saw Louisville win earlier today on a walk-off against Illinois State.
They're awaiting the winner of the game that follows us tonight.
Here's the beast, Carson McCusker. 6'8" monster, JUCO transfer. Checks his swing, did not go.
Josh Holliday told us this week that McCusker came back. Get to it after this pitch. Walk mono in the middle part of the year. He came back. He was really a great addition to this offense, and you see why right there. Great extension, great power, and really an excellent left fielder. Right? We've already seen him make a big play in this game.
Really good corner outfielders defensively between McCusker and Cabanis, and guys that passed the eyeball test, as that was a close spot there from House, but it's 2-2. It's an Oklahoma State team that started off Big 12 play really well. They swept a pesky Kansas State team, then took 2 of 3 against TCU. But against TCU, Bryce Carter was lost to a concussion. McCusker was out with mono. After that, they really struggled as this one is put down in the gap, and McCusker has himself a single. So after McCusker and Carter go down, they spend essentially another month trying to reestablish who hits behind Colin Simpson in the lineup. Well, they survived that period of time, got both players back for the Texas series, and after that really started rolling. But it wasn't until the series against Oregon State. They went up to Corvallis and they swept the Beavers. At that point in time, Josh Holliday said the guys were able to look at themselves in the mirror and say, we know we are a good team.
Yeah, they came back, won the Big 12 tournament right here in this ballpark.
And activity in the UConn bullpen, as Caleb Worster is getting loose. Worster pitched 49 pitches last night against Oklahoma State. Sensational, going 3 innings and not allowing a run. Now, ideally, Jim Penders wants to see them get to the 6th inning before they bring in the big 3 out of the bullpen. This maybe pressing that timetable up. Back-to-back hits. That's Alex Garcia to left. You start to tire with your arm. It starts to drag. What happens? Ball starts to elevate. Starting to see that right now. Again, this bullpen has been so good for UConn in this tournament. But well, you're asking a lot of these guys to come back on 3 days and how many pitches they've thrown. Warming up right there. 5 2/3 over the weekend. 87 pitches already. And it's not only that, it's the times you warm up as well. Yeah.
Everything that goes with it to get ready to come out onto the field.
Worster, Dandino, Wallace, those are the guys. They've been sensational. All 3 pitched last night. Approached pitching coach Joshua McDonald and said, we are available. We are pitching tonight. Here's Cade Cabanis. Cabanis initially showed bunt as House went with the inside move to check on McCusker at second base. Now is a third inning situation like this that Josh Holliday says if he could have one thing back from yesterday, it would be the decision to bunt with Andrew Navigato as he ended up popping up the bunt. See if they stay with it with Cabinets. They do. Good bunt. It's dead. Winkle throws the first. Tough play, but it's made by Christian Fedko. Excellent glove, but excellent bunt by Cabinets as well.
Well, that's good execution by everybody. Get the job done, move them up 90 feet. But this is at the end of this play is a big-time play. This is going to get into the corner. It's going to lead to lots of runs, maybe two. But he makes the pick. 2-3 on the putout.
Top of the lineup. But hold that thought as Pat Winkle will go to the mound, talk to Kenny House. More than anything, slow things down. And we've just received a signal from the bullpen that apparently Worcester is ready to go.
Well, I said 40 to 50 would be probably that number. And 47 right now for House. Fans are getting a little impatient. I would think that as the infield goes back to their position, now here comes Coach Penders right now.
This is a move that Penders did not want to make this early, but also a move that he knows he has to make.
Well, you're right, Lowell, but he also knew that Kenny House was at 40 to 50 was about the end of his window.
Yeah.
So, if you know that, you know you're going to have to go to guys that you would like to go to in the sixth. You're going to have to go to them in the third or the fourth.
And the call has been made by Penders to bring in Caleb Worcester. The evening is done for Kenny House as UConn will turn it over to Caleb Worcester with Oklahoma State threatening.
Part of this great UConn bullpen having to be put into the starting position. Kenny House really did an outstanding job early in this game. He is pitching on 3 consecutive days, had to start the ball game, had a good changeup, has to leave the game here. He is responsible for the runners at second and third. You can see the numbers. The big one for me for this bullpen for UConn, Lowell, has been the fact that they have come in and they have thrown strikes. They just have not given their opponent anything in the base on ball department. Came away with 3 strikeouts. Again, he's responsible for the runners. And again, they go to another guy that's thrown 87 pitches in this regional already as he toes the rubber.
Caleb Worcester, freshman from Coventry, Rhode Island. Jim Penders had a long talk with them for this season. Said you got to dedicate yourself. Worcester went back to work, dropped his arm slot in January, went from 87 in his bullpens to 90. And this will be his 36th appearance of the season. That is a UConn single-season record. Houston Morrill facing the lefty, where he is actually better. 373 this season against lefties. Last time he faced Worcester, Worcester hit him in the hand. And eventually caused Morrill to leave the game.
Corners are up for the Huskies. They're back in the middle defensively. They'll surrender a run on a ground ball to short or second, or a fly ball to the outfield, but they'll try to cut it off at the plate, first and third. That's the number that has really bothered Oklahoma State this entire regional. Only 4 for 27 with runners in scoring position.
Nice off speed to get ahead. And this is the splits we were just talking about. 373 against the Southpaws.
Worcester has been able to use that slider in on the hands to right-handed hitters. And he has eaten some bats up in there.
Big strikeout by Caleb Worster.
We talked about this slider. He's been bringing it under the hands. This is the back door. He brings it back to the outside corner. Gave up on it. You see it away, and you think that ball's away, and then comes back, nips the corner. Now he's got 2 consecutive left-handed hitters in lefty-lefty matchups.
This is Christian Funk. He flew out to Fedko in right field, which led to that 11.5-minute review. Trying to figure out if Fedko caught it and then lost it, and the transition out of his glove, or whether it was a catch at all. The bullpen for UConn, in the words of Jim Penders, it's been a godsend.
Well, those are exceptional numbers. 31 Ks.
Bends it over, and it's 1-1.
The adrenaline of the super regional in your mind is what gets you through these scenarios, but you still have to stay mechanically sound. And even as many pitches as Caleb Worster has thrown, he's still mechanically just watching. He's getting good balance point. He's driving to the plate. He's using his legs.
Works outside, and it's 2-1. Colin Simpson is on deck. He's really struggled here in Oklahoma City. A team leader and as dangerous as they come. And it's 2-2.
Breaking ball, fastball count. Now with the open base, I think you get 2 sliders. I mean, you try to make them look like a strike and break them off the plate where he can't hit, and see if you can't get Funk to get overly aggressive.
Also, Pat Winkle needs to be ready back there, body everything up.
Well, he does, but it is not a biting slider. Well, you have those guys that you know that throw breaking balls that bite into the dirt. Worster's is one that breaks, it's a big sweeper. So because of that, you really don't worry about it being in the dirt that often. You worry, make sure you get around it, though, and get your glove around it, because it's going to be running to your glove side.
Worster stares in. Full count, 2 outs to Funk. Loaded for Colin Simpson.
Went to the fastball, 3-2.
Now batting the pitcher, Colin Simpson.
Only the 4th walk issued in this regional tournament. UConn bullpen.
Colin Simpson was leading all sorts of rituals before batting practice today to try to get the bats going. They chucked them out on the field all at once. They clanked them together. They yelled at them, trying to provoke something positive from these Oklahoma State bats. And he is the ringleader of the bunch.
You gotta call this ball.
A fantastic 4-year career. The numbers are up there with some of the all-time greats, despite the fact he did not play his freshman year. A moment like this can really stamp his legacy for Oklahoma State.
Telling you, from that arm slot, it is really difficult for left-handed hitters to hang in there and pick that ball up. Throws across his body. The arm slot's good. He pitches from the first base side of the mound. You got to really stay in there and really think about going the other way.
Simpson with 3 grand slams this season alone.
These have been really difficult pitches to make. I mean, these are intense pitches when you come into the game right here. That's a good number. Relief pitchers really care about that number as much as they do anything else. And I keep other guys from getting earned runs.
Staying away. 2-2. There's not a lot of guys in college baseball that take more violent looking swings than Colin Simpson. See if he can get a hold of one here. Whoa, Caleb Worster does the job. Bases loaded against the team leader. One of the most feared hitters in the Big 12, and the freshman just doesn't care. The UConn bullpen, peerless here in Oklahoma City. Tonight, it's Alex Bregman and the AL West leading Astros in Seattle taking on the Mariners. Coverage beginning at 10 Eastern, 7 Pacific on ESPN, as well as the ESPN app. George Springer out with his hammy, trying to get that better. And anytime you bring up the Astros, you bring up George Springer, which leads you back to UConn, one of the players that developed under Jim Penders, became a first-round pick. And UConn took 3 separate road trips to the state of Texas this year. On one of those, had an opportunity to get a tour of Minute Maid Park. Their surprise tour director, George Springer. We also got a lengthy discussion with Alex Bregman and A.J. Hinch. It's amazing what a player of that magnitude does to a program like UConn to put them further on the map.
Just misses with that heater.
What happened now? Come on.
Zimmo's to go to the change here.
Make a call.
Get to the breaking ball.
That one doesn't count.
And it's a full count to Pat Winkle. Seventh pitch here from Joe Linhard. To left field, another chance for McCusker, trailing back to the fence. And the leap. He's tall and athletic. Second fantastic catch in left by Carson McCusker.
Well, he's made two good plays. He's an excellent outfielder. 6'8", really rangy. Go get it, goes up, comes down against the wall. How about the power of the young freshman going the other way? 320 feet, 5 feet short, getting that ball out of the ballpark.
You can see the wind now picking up as that ball carried to left. Here's Christian Fedko. Linhart smokes it in there at 91. Fedko was the other guy that was robbed by McCusker out and left. The way Ali P. Reynolds Stadium plays, Josh Holliday really likes the idea of having two strong corner outfielders that can get it done defensively and cover some ground. We know this. There are huge arms out there as well with McCusker, and especially Cabinets. Know how Josh Holliday realized his guys were ready to go today? He saw some of them riding around on the Lime scooters this morning, which he said, little concern, doesn't want any injuries, but saw it as a sign the guys were having fun and living in the moment. This is fouled. Alex Garcia won't have a chance. But that's what he's really stressed with this team, to embrace the moment, play loose. You're college kids. Have fun. And for the most part, this team has been able to do that this season.
I don't know, I'd be riding a scooter, but
have you been on one of those scooters?
no.
You don't know what you're missing.
Well, okay. I like four wheels.
Fedko to right. Cabinets battling the sun. And how about that? Learned how to play that one.
You can see Boone coming and coming quickly to come helping. It's more of the ball that actually is a little more difficult. It's the one that's on a line at you. But able to make the play right there.
First pitch strike from Linhart. Linhart's dad, Steve, pitched for Oklahoma State. Played with pitching coach Rob Walton. They go way back.
Good change, right? He's still keeping a good mix. He's mixing in that changeup, using his breaking ball. He's thrown 3 pitches in this at bat, all 3 different types: a fastball, changeup, and a slider.
And his best is?
His breaking ball is his out pitch.
Chopped. This is going to be really tough. Funk will not have a chance to make a play. And sometimes it goes down that way. You think you win the battle, you get weak contact, and it's an infield single.
Right, just chopped over the top of this, and then it pounds into the ground. There's not much you're going to be able to do about it. You're playing deep. Funk is going to be playing deep with a guy that he's got good power, especially with 2 strikes.
Strike 1 to Kyler Fedko. Way outside, Simpson still trying to find it behind his right foot, and he does. How tough is that to catch as much as Simpson does and be that effective when he's at the plate?
Well, I don't think it takes college baseball is 4 days a week, Tuesday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. They do use Carter some in that environment. He gets a day or two off and comes into the DH role. And he's the guy that handles his staff the best. And Josh Holliday wants him back. A veteran. You talked about it earlier. I mean, in his senior year, he's caught all these guys.
Two one. Gazzo on first. Spanked. Nice backhand from Funk across the diamond. Garcia goes down to get it. Still no score. And the deciding game here in the Oklahoma City Regional will go to the bottom of the fourth. Winner of this game with OSU and UConn advances to take on the 8th seed nationally Texas Tech Red Raiders in Lubbock. And big news for the Red Raiders because they can claim they have the number 8 overall pick, Josh Young. This is actually amazing for the Big 12. Lodolo going 7th, Young going 8th, Langoliers going 9th, and moments ago, Alex Manoah goes 11th. So the Big 12 well represented in the top picks of the draft that's unfolding as we speak. Caleb Worster back on the mound. It was sensational, replacing Kenny House, getting out of the biggest jam so far of the evening, and striking out Colin Simpson with the bases loaded. Andrew Navigato leads off.
Well over 100 pitches now over the weekend. That is really unusual for guys coming out of the bullpen in college. See if he can maintain his command.
And it's 3-0.
The other term you look at, he's been 88, 89 with his fastball low. See if he can maintain that velocity with his fastball.
Gets it back over at 3-0. Now the crazy thing, we talk about this a lot, the way the draft unfolds is that one of these guys, neither UConn or Oklahoma State has a projected first-round pick. But realistically, one of these guys could be playing right now and have a life-changing moment and would really have no idea.
Well, it's been that way for a long time. I don't quite understand. When I was drafted, I was in the College World Series at the time. So it's hard. Major League Baseball has had their draft, their amateur draft, in the first week of June since it came in the mid-'60s. So you look at that scenario. College players are going to be still playing with their team, trying to win a championship. They know what their next opportunity is going to be in baseball-wise, at least the ones that are juniors and seniors.
So in 75, how do you find out?
We were told about Cliff Custis, the head coach, called each one of us individually. We were it was an in-between day where we weren't playing in the College World Series when the draft took place, and let us know where we were drafted and who drafted you. You didn't hear from the clubs then. Wow. There was no cell phones.
But not even a call to the family landline?
Well, my family was in Omaha. We were trying to win a national championship, which we did.
So a leadoff walk, and Navigato is on base. And here is the dangerous Trevor Boone. Boone is 0 for 1 with a strikeout. Light tower power, however, when he connects.
Now you're seeing a young man that's really starting to tire and labor. Not using his legs as well. He's trying to gather himself. He's given his club just so much over the course of this weekend. Surprised we're not seeing some activity in the UConn bullpen.
They have one pitcher up, stretching and working the bands, but not at an urgent pace. Working the J bands. And that is C.J. Dandino. Call him the grandpa. Fifth-year senior.
He's been good in this regional as well.
1-1 to Boone. Swing and a miss.
Backswing
like,
right there. You don't
Winkler.
play regular against guys in college. So at the next level, you get to know who those guys that have that backswing, that they finish big when they finish. And it came back, and that actually caught him as he was coming back. With nothing intentional about that at all. But you get to know those guys, and I will guarantee you that Winkle will get a little bit further back this time.
Boone handled it the right way. Good respect between these two clubs. Stays alive. So since he hit that 3-run shot that led Oklahoma State to the win against Nebraska, he's 0 for 5 with 4 strikeouts. And it's a byproduct of the way these guys swing. You're going to get that. When you are a power hitting team, you're going to have strikeouts that come along with it. Josh Holliday doesn't like strikeouts, but he understands that's part of it.
You hit 20 balls out of the ballpark, you're going to case some.
Yeah. Boone down on strikes for the second time. 3 strikeouts for Worcester out of the pen.
Oh, he got away with it. It was upstairs, a breaking ball upstairs. Boone just couldn't catch up to it.
Here's Bryce Carter. He was also a strikeout victim. Went down against Kenny House. Outside, ball 1. Just keep waiting for it to click for Oklahoma State, because you've seen it when it does click for Oklahoma State. And it's scary if you're on the other side of the equation.
Well, good pitching can slow down a lot of offense.
They see good pitching in the Big 12. Smash, good glove. The Condor to second base. Prado loses his footing, but they get one. Chris Winkle, the nickname is the Condor because of the catch radius, the long arms, the range. That ball was smoked from Carter, and Winkle handled it like a champ.
It's a veteran shortstop right here. I'm not going to try to do anything, make sure I get an out. He's like a coach on the field. He does a lot of things. That was just really a good play, making the catch and then saying, I'm not going to try to do anything with this. We got an out. Was it a good throw? If it had been a good feed, he's going back to first base.
Carson McCusker has a single to his credit. And it's skied. Fedko under it. Makes the catch. And after a leadoff walk, Worcester recovers. No scores. We go to the 5th. We'll talk to Josh Holliday when we return.
Leading off for the Huskies, the third baseman, Thad Phillips.
No score here in Oklahoma City as we welcome in the Cowboys head coach, Josh Holliday. And, Coach, we're seeing Joe Linhard look good on the mound right now, a guy that means a lot to your program. What are you seeing from him right now?
Oh, he's competing awfully good, pitch to pitch, no doubt about it, and giving us everything he's got, which I knew he would. Joe's a high-energy kid. He's a high-character kid. He's been here for 4 years, and this place means a lot to him. So he's given us a great start, and now we just got to find a way to put a little something on the board here and give him some support.
That's where I was going to go. I mean, offensively, your guys not tightening up, but you got to find a way to get something going. You said, talk to us yesterday, but just getting some base hits.
Yeah, just right there in the brink of putting a couple of things together. I think if you get that first big hit and you get the run on the board, it loosens everybody up. But until then, guys maybe try a little too hard. Next thing you know, you're swinging underneath the ball a little bit. So got to get out of this right here, but get back to the stick. Somebody relax, take a good two-strike or good two-out base hit the other way and get us going.
Coach, once again, thanks for your time. It's been fun watching you guys compete here in Oklahoma City.
Thank you.
So a leadoff single to left by Thad Phillips, who has been a good spark plug after originally starting this regional on the bench. Chris Winkle looking to bunt. Christian Funk expecting it at third base.
Winkle is a good bunter. We've seen that a couple of times in this tournament. Excellent first and third base hit bunt. Crucial time in the ball game. He's put out another sacrifice in this tournament. He's done a good job in this scenario.
There's the bunt right in front of Simpson. Simpson thought about two, and he's late to first.
There are times when you just want to make a play. He thought he had a chance to get an out, and then right here, he realized he couldn't get one. You're forcing the issue at times instead of go ahead right here. It's just come out, get an out, and go to work. And now you've created a real problem right here. Colin System's the leader of this club. He's just trying to make a play. Hasn't been able to make one offensively. He was trying to make one defensively there. And now, real trouble at this point. I would think bunt in order again right here.
That happens to be one of the fastest runners on this UConn team in Thad Phillips that was bearing down trying to get to second base. Here's Topa with 2 on. Garcia playing up, as is Funk. The bunt is popped up. Linhard makes the play. We heard from Josh Holliday, high-energy guy. Case in point right there.
Outstanding individual effort meets opportunity. That's 1-2. He wanted to get this out, and it takes a frame that big to get it done.
Add that to the list of amazing defensive plays that we've seen here in this regional.
I don't know that I've ever seen a pitcher lay out and make that play like that.
And here comes Rob Walton.
And he's a big man. His body's 230 pounds bouncing in his frame. And I guarantee he's having to catch his breath.
And again, another one of those guys trying to make sure this is not the last time he toes the rubber at Oklahoma State. And there's a long history with the Linhard family at Oklahoma State. His dad, Steve, made 3 College World Series appearances on the same staff of the current pitching coach, Rob Walton. So Oklahoma State, that pride runs in the blood of the Linhard family.
That was a great individual effort. And huge out.
Oh, yeah.
Just a gigantic out at the time. You're still not out of trouble here, but that huge out. I think that's a great visit by Rob Walton, just to let the young man gather his breath. I mean, he laid out and complete laid out. Pitchers are not used to laying out on the ground.
And if he doesn't get there, even though it's popped up or it pops out of his glove, bases loaded, no outs. Peyton Battenfield is getting hot. He was excellent out of the pen earlier in this regional. Here is Prado. This is the guy for UConn. Prado up the middle. Here comes Phillips, being rounded by Penders. The throw will be cut, and it's UConn 1-0. The kid finds a way to make plays when UConn needs him to.
10th hit of this regional. Tries it right back up on a hanging breakable. Slider stayed up. He makes him pay.
Five driven in by Anthony Prado. Huge Yankees fan growing up in Staten Island. A big Derek Jeter guy, and he is putting together a captain-like performance here in this regional. Woodworth fouled over to the left side. But as we always talk about when we team up and do these broadcasts, add crooked numbers. You're huge on that, Keith, because you've seen it and what it means.
Well, you got to get the bleeding stopped if you're the Cowboys. They have not been productive offensively.
Simpson bodies it up.
I mean, this entire tournament, they've been a great offensive team most of the year and struggled here. So you got to get this stopped right now. They don't want to be chasing 3, 4, or 5 runs.
Twice they've been held to 2 runs here in Oklahoma City. Had a great run in the Big 12 tournament here, going 4-1 to win the title. Popped up. Cabanis will take it. He's got a Holmes. And look at this. Frozen rope, but it's too high.
Got to throw it through the cutoff man, though. But this being all the way in the air, overthrows at third. It allows that base runner to move up that extra 90 feet. Veteran pitcher in the right spot right there. Able to keep that ball from getting into the stands.
2 on, 2 outs for Pat Winkle. Can Linhart get out of this jam, only allowing 1? That skips. Simpson is there.
You got an open base here and a right-handed hitter due on deck. Interesting how you go about calling pitches here.
Morrill charging, makes the play. Linhart with a fantastic diving effort off the mound. But Prado gets the Huskies on the board. We'll talk to his head coach next. UConn has just taken the lead off a RBI single from Anthony Prado, and now welcome in his head coach, Jim Penders. And Anthony's one of those guys, he's not a get-off-the-bus first type guy with his build, but then you watch him play. Coach, what does he mean to this program?
I think he's the best shortstop in the country. We've seen some really good ones. He's. I had a pretty good one in Nick Ahmed a few years ago. This kid, he does a lot of the same things Nick does. He's ahead in where Nick was with his bat. He doesn't have the body that Nick has, certainly, but he plays really hard and he plays really well, and I'm glad he's on our side.
Coach, I just got to ask you, you're into that 5th game in a regional. What you thinking pitching-wise?
Well, it's no secret what we do. I mean, we've been winning all year by giving it to our 3-headed monster in Worcester, Dandino and Wallace with a lead. And, certainly didn't want to go to him as early as we have, but Caleb looks good. It's coming out of the hand well. We see what we can get out of him, and then Dandino behind him and Wallace to hopefully close it out.
Once again, thanks for all your time. As this
Very
one
explosive.
is out of the park, Alex Garcia ties it up at 1. And that is what they can do. It does not take them long as Alex Garcia goes yard for the 7th time. And look out. Here comes Oklahoma State.
And Garcia gets this ball on the head of the bat, sort of up, out over the plate, gets good extension on it, and just drives it into the bullpen.
I think it was your question, Keith.
Well, just look at it. I guarantee you, Coach Pitters has been thinking of what he's going to try to do and how he's going to try to match this thing up. And he told us he's going to try to live with the guys that have done. We showed you the numbers. This bullpen has been magnificent. And nothing short of magnificent.
'87 home runs on the season. For Oklahoma State, they will do that against anybody. Now can the freshman recollect himself, and this is what a veteran does. Here comes Anthony Prado.
Come on! Come on!
More encouragement right there than anything else. Say, all right, come on, take a breath. The game's still tied.
Oh, yeah.
You walk in right there and just look at him and say, hey, okay, we'll score some more. We're going to have to win this one anyway. Go back, attack, do the things you've been doing.
2-0 to Cabanis. Cabanis shows bunt. Is that something you would expect him to do? Bunt for a hit?
I think he was taken. I think it was, got 2-0. He's going to force him to try to throw a strike there.
Up the middle. Hey, look what I found. Cabanis was trying to go 5-hole. Worcester got the glove there. Well, we have the championship series and the Women's College World Series, OU and UCLA. Game number 2 of the finals coming up Tuesday, 8:30 p.m. Central Time, Eastern Time on ESPN. OU trying to win its 3rd championship in the last 4 years. And UCLA, one of the most storied programs in softball history. And it is 4-1 in the top of the 5th. An upset brewing for an OU team that is steamrolling over opponents right now. So that play ends the night for Caleb Worcester. Dandino will enter for UConn when we return.
Caleb Worcester has been fantastic in this regional. Came in today, got a huge strikeout there with runners in scoring position, a big out to get out of the inning. Came back, got out of the inning 2nd and 3rd. See the numbers. This is his entire numbers in this region. It doesn't tell you the fact that he threw 120-something pitches in this region, but 7 1/3 innings of work total. He allowed 7 hits, 2 runs. He walked 2. He struck out 12 batters. He will not be involved in the decision, but the only reason the Huskies are here is because of him.
And also the efforts of C.J. Dandino, part of this 3-headed monster with Jacob Wallace on the back end. Dandino has thrown 79 pitches so far in this regional, 3 innings pitched. So we saw him last night throw 39, going 1 2/3, allowing 1 hit, striking out 3, walking 1. We also saw him pitch in the opener and the loss against Nebraska.
He's got an unusual delivery, a little bit of a short armor. He's got some velocity with his fastball. His best pitch is a little overhand breaking ball that he gets a lot of swing and miss, swing over the top of. He needs to come in here and fill the strike zone up.
Houston Morrow will be the first batter he faces. And what we just saw is that great juggling act that the coach has to go through, especially when you're playing your 5th game in a regional. You know a guy is at the limit, he's getting close, but how much more can you get out of him before you pull the trigger and make a move?
That's a breaking ball right there. It is a fine line that you walk, and the kids will all tell you that, yeah, I'm ready to go, but you've got to make that decision. You got to see how it's coming out of his hand, how his legs are doing, how his arms. The other thing that they read a lot is they read velocities.
Yeah. And that's not to take anything away at all from Alex Garcia. This is an Oklahoma State lineup that all these guys can beat you at your best.
87 is the number now?
Yeah.
So it's not unusual that they go deep.
This is what they do. One, two. Dandino puts it close. Righty's hitting 205 against Dandino. That's going to be out of the reach of Prado. And a one-out single for the freshman Houston Morrill.
You talked about it. Getting him in the lineup on a regular basis in the top of this order, he's a guy, he's a table setter. He's not the guy that's going to hit the ball in the ballpark. When they've had him in the lineup, then you get to these guys that have double-digit home runs behind him.
And it starts now with Christian Funk. Funk has walked and flown out to right. Upstairs, first pitch ball.
The one guy in this lineup that will run, and especially with an out, see what Josh Holliday's thinking about, but he is a guy that he's 10 for 13 in the stolen base department throughout the year.
There he goes. Funk swinging and fouls it back.
I've known Josh Holliday a long time, and I sort of read into what he's thinking. We got to start being more aggressive. We have relied on the home run, but we also got to think about getting some balls hit the other way and that kind of thing. So he just puts on a little hit and run right there. Ball foul back.
They did that a lot more early in Holliday's career at Oklahoma State when he was inheriting players suited for that style of play.
Well, he recruits big physical guys that can hit the ball in the park. The ballpark, Allie P. Reynolds is a good hitter's park. Unless they're going to have a brand new facility next year.
Both these programs will. Oklahoma State hitting only .234 with runners on in this regional. They're 1 for 7 today. Morrill is off. This one is pitching wedged to center field. Woodworth is under it, makes the catch. He's going to fire to first. But Morrill is able to get back in time.
That's a young catcher.
Booking it down the line.
He was right there, backing up at that throw gets away, being in the right position. Well schooled.
No one in the building wants to get a hold of one more than this man right here, Colin Simpson. He struck out twice. Nine strikeouts for him in the regional. Now, didn't you see him with a rubber ducky?
Yeah, they were trying a lot of different things. You were talking about them throwing the bats on the field. They had a little rubber ducky. They were trying to name Daniel the Duck. They're trying to get something. Baseball players are the more superstitious people in the world.
Morrill takes off again, and it's fouled back. They had buried the duck, correct?
Yeah.
In front of the hotel.
Yeah, and then they got beat last night. They pulled it out. It's supposed to be floating in a cup. I'm not sure all the things. We were staying in the same hotel where the Cowboys were staying. They were going through a lot of different things.
But whatever Alex Garcia did, it worked. Morrill breaks for second. Simpson fouls it off.
Right now, he's getting his running in.
Yeah.
He's going to need a drink of water in between innings.
Chickasaw Bricktown Ballpark, home of the Oklahoma City Dodgers, AAA organization. They've been out of town for a couple of weeks, allowing them to host the Big 12 tournament and this Oklahoma City Regional. Colin Simpson had 3 home runs here in the Big 12 tournament. Looking for his first in the regional. Pitch out. Morrill not going.
It's going near, though. You don't see pitch outs 2-2. So get a good read. I think you can vary that as a pitcher. Young pitchers, you can come set right here and just come to a hole and force somebody to call timeout.
There goes Morrill. The throw down won't matter because Simpson goes down looking as he strikes out for the 3rd time tonight. But Oklahoma State gets on the board. Into 5, it's 1-1. UConn is trying to join this list of teams to win a regional after losing their opening game. This is over the past 5 seasons. Florida State and South Carolina, teams that hosted regionals, Duke, Mississippi State, in both 18 and 17, were able to do that playing on the road. And UConn opened up with an 8-5 loss at the hands of the Nebraska Cornhuskers. Since '99, 13 teams have won a road regional after losing the first game. Jim Penders did that with UConn in 2011. He talked about Nick Ahmed, and that was his shortstop on that team in 2011. They were in the Clemson Regional, lost the first game there, and then won 4 games in a row to advance to the Super Finals. Christian Fedko to left, and a nice diving catch by Carson McCusker. Give him 3 gems out in left field.
Well, McCluster this time, he misjudged it. The toughest play on an outfielder is a liner right at you, but he gets a late break. He sort of saw it hit at him and then realizes, I got to go get it. Then you're a runner going down the line. You think, I got to knock. No, I don't.
3 solid plays by Carson McCusker out in left field. Defense has been good for Oklahoma State. Houston Morrill has played a mean second base, even though he's not 100% healthy.
Defense overall by all of these teams here in this region have been good. We've seen very few mistakes. You've seen a couple of plays that are brilliant.
Saw Angelo Altavilla for Nebraska turn 2 double plays in one game.
Go into the stands and make an incredible catch.
Yep. Gazzo pops it up. Morrill calls off Garcia, and it's 2 down.
You always have fun between guys in the infield. Garcia turns and looks at him and says, how come I can't make that catch?
Because I want it. Joe Linhart, 79 pitches into the 6th. He's got 2 outs. Facing Kyler Fedko. McCusker won't get his mitt on this, and it's a 2-out single.
He started 5 of the first 12 batters that he faced with first pitch strikes. Now he's 11 of 13. His last 13 batters he's faced. He's done a really good job. You get into that 4th game, 5th game, and get a guy that can come in and throw strikes, don't have to go to your bullpen. Cowboy bullpen, the guys at the back end, they have enough rest. I mean, they're on normal rest.
Thad Phillips has scored the lone run for UConn. Started the mini rally in the 5th with a single to left and scored off the bat of Anthony Prado. Lenhart got into a little bit of trouble in the 1st and 5th. In the 1st with 2 outs, he hit Woodworth. And Winkle centered up the middle. But with 1st and 3rd, Christian Fedko got a hold of one. It was close to leaving the yard, but McCusker made the catch in foul territory. And then in the 5th.
He's an out away from a really good quality start.
Oh, yeah.
5 hits and 1 run through 6. In the biggest game of the year.
Got into some trouble in the 5th as well, but was able to limit the damage to only 1 run. And it's 1-2 on Phillips. Runner is off. Phillips pokes it foul.
Another major story in this regional has been 2-strike hitting for UConn. They have just been outstanding in that department. The teams have had a tough time putting them away once they've gotten ahead of them.
24 2-strike hits for the Huskies.
That's a big number in 5 ball games.
$19 hits in their opener, 17 in their second game, 22 after that, and had 8 hits last night. Fedko is off, doesn't matter, as Phillips strikes out. Joe Linhart doing what the Pokes need him to do. Yeah, he wants everybody on their feet here in Oklahoma City. Welcome back to the NCAA Baseball Regionals presented by Capital One. Lower Galindo here with Keith Borland. One of these teams will move on to the Super Regionals. Will it be Oklahoma State or UConn going to Lubbock to take on Texas Tech? Still some matchups to be determined. Michigan with a 6-4 lead over Creighton. East Carolina with a 6-3 lead against Campbell. The matchups that will follow us tonight on the ESPN networks.
Yeah, have some Vanderbilt and Duke. You see what's coming up behind us? Be some real Vanderbilt and Duke, and Auburn and North Carolina, ACC, SEC matchups.
Going to be some good ones. And Stanford and Fresno State fighting for the right to play in Starkville, and which will be an amazing atmosphere, as always, in one of the hot spots for college baseball. CJ Dandino back out. Andrew Navigato leading off. Dandino got the final 2 outs of the 5th and is pitching for the 3rd time in this regional. Navigato comes in with a 17-game hit streak. He's 0 for 1 today. There's a big swing and a miss. 91 on the gun from Dandino.
He's got just enough zip on that heater that if you're looking for that breaking ball, he can just get it by you, as he did right there. He's got great downward tilt on his breaking ball.
Popped up. Christian Fedko backpedaling. 1 down.
If you're UConn, you're counting outs. And Coach Penders is talking about, you're going to the guys that you've used all year long, but you've gone to them a ton here. I mean, these arms are not fresh. And can they just get you a little more? You're asking each one of them to get maybe an out or 2 more than you think that you would probably use them normal.
I think the biggest question in all of this is when, if it stays as is, do they go to Jacob Wallace? Wallace is now warming up. He threw 41 pitches last night. And what we heard from the coaching staff is, in one game, they feel really good about him too. Right? He went 2 1/3 last night. But when he starts getting deeper into that third inning of activity, that's where he runs into problems. Is that now a factor with fatigue going back to back after working a pretty heavy workload, striking out 7 in a row last night?
Well, first of all, if you're going to go into this point, you're going to go with the best you got.
Yeah.
I mean, see, he's a finalist for National Pitcher of the Year. He has faced 7 batters in this regional, punched out all 7 of them.
3-0 to Boone. And it's a 4-pitch walk. Will this force the head of Jim Penders?
Now batting the designated hitter, Bryce Carter.
I mean, it's guts and adrenaline right now that these UConn relief pitchers are working with. Two fine pitching coaches going head to head with Josh McDonald and Rob Walton. Bryce Carter now 0 for 2.
Legs, conditioning, things you work on all year long. When you start to tire, you really got to be mechanically sound.
Prado is consistently talking to Dandino right now.
He knows him. He's like a coach on the field. He knows if his arm slot's getting down or if his elbow's coming under.
Now, is Dandino trying to keep Boone close, or is he trying to stall to let Wallace get warm?
No. No pitcher wants to come out of the game. He's not throwing the ball over to stall. He's trying to keep Boone close, keep the double play in order.
Swing and a miss. Of those 5 finalists for the National Pitcher of the Year award, Wallace, the only relief pitcher among them. That's the challenge of working through a bracket after an opening loss. Your pitching depth will be taxed. 1-1. Popped out of play.
Did a nice job to come back and make 2 good pitches.
One-two to Carter. Smash through the right side. Boone on his way to third. The cut gets away from Winkle. Heads up play by Carter to take second. Fedko air-mailed it back in. Chris Winkle cannot get his glove on it. And Carter was alert and ready.
Well, that's when you come up and you fire the ball straight into second base. Right here, he had a long run to get to it, and he's in between. He's throwing it toward the plate rather than throwing it to the cutoff man on the way to third, and then you see Carter right there recognizing that. Head first into the bag. Now the infield will have to be drawn up. There's second and third, 1 out.
McCusker the battle. Already has a single to his credit. Waves through that one.
Now that you're ahead, don't have to throw a strike here. You get the cluster to get overly aggressive.
McCusker to left, on a line off the fence. This will score 2.
Tried to sneak the fastball in. 6'8" guy at the plate, trying to get it in, left it over the middle of the plate. The cluster just brings his hands in and rips it off of the wall.
He has saved multiple runs defensively and now drives in 2 of the most important runs of the season. Oklahoma State with the 3-1 lead. Super Regionals on the line. And the crowd is into it as Jim Penders comes out presumably to make a change.
Now you can see before tonight, the bullpen for UConn was spectacular. It has struggled tonight, but just keep going to the well, Lowell, that often. Guys are going to tire, and that's exactly what we've seen. Elevated pitches are up in the zone. We're going to see Wallace when we come back. Jacob Wallace came into the game last night. He needed 7 outs. Well, he found a way to get them. Breaking ball with the first couple. Actually, the first 3. Then he goes to that good heater a couple of times. He faced 7 batters. He retired all 7 via the strikeout to send UConn into this championship final. And he comes on here, the 6'1" junior. He's got an exceptional fastball in the mid-90s and a great breaking ball. It's 16 saves on the year. He's only allowed a hit every other inning, basically. And he's nearly striking out 2 guys per inning. Great command to go with that. How much is left in his tank? And they need the bleeding stop. Do the Huskies right here.
Entered with the lead last night. Now he enters with his Huskies trailing by 2. McCusker has been the difference defensively and offensively. He's standing on second after driving in 2 to give Oklahoma State the lead and energize this crowd. Alex Garcia, last time up, got Oklahoma State on the board with the home run. 7 straight strikeouts for Wallace. The 7 overall, a career high, as UConn ended the game with 8 straight strikeouts. It was just a matter of time, though, before OSU got it going, and they've gotten it going.
Crowd into it. You got to slam the door shut here.
Inside, 2-1. According to Jim Pender's next level, he projects as a 1-inning guy. Or Pender says that's where he truly shines because he can simply blast with that fastball, uses the slider. keep hitters honest. Junior from Methuen, Mass. Figures to be a high draft pick. Two. Wallace allowing only one of 18 inherited runners to score. He's got McCusker on second base. Multiple timeouts. And we're ready to play ball. Lost his footing off that hack.
He does it so many different ways. When he starts out, he comes into the game, the first pitch, a lot of times you don't want to throw the heater, so he throws a breaking ball, misses downstairs. He comes back with a fastball, foul back, couldn't catch up to it. Then the breaking ball misses inside, and then the breaking ball again for a strike. Now as a hitter, can I catch up to that heater? I can't, because I'm thinking he's coming back with a breaking ball. That's just what he brings to the table, the ability to, as a hitter, take away your ability to cheat to catch the fastball.
8 straight strikeouts for Jacob Wallace. Going back to last night's brilliant performance, Cabinets to the right side. Winkle will flip to Wallace. Does he find his bag in time? And he does. But this game has changed with one swing of the bat. Carson McCusker on double to left. Driving in two, and OSU leads 3-1.
Seniors step up when you need them. It hasn't been a fantastic year, but boy, it was a great night tonight. He was able to use his breaking ball, 6 innings of work, allowed just 5 hits, 1 run, 1 earned run. He only walked 1, struck out 4. And I'll tell you what, he did an outstanding job. First quality start of the year. What a time to have, Lowell, your first quality start of the year in a regional final.
And now he's got that towel. He's going to be waving that bad boy as Peyton Battenfield will come in. A guy that Josh Holliday has described as the X factor in the bullpen. He's been the stopper for Oklahoma State. This will be the second time that we've seen him in this tourney. 2 innings pitched to close out the win, and the opener for them against Harvard. Allowed 1 hit, struck out 4, no walks against a very good Harvard lineup.
Well, you look at what Peyton does. He doesn't allow base runners. He's got a whip just over 1. He attacks the strike zone with 2 pitches, a breaking ball and a fastball. He's used to this environment. If he can take it to the house, he will. But if he can give them 2 innings, that's what they're looking for right here.
There's the number 9 hitter, Chris Winkle. And he's down 0-2. Nice spot from Battenfield. And there's a warning to the UConn dugout. Scott Kennedy walked over and has warned somebody in the UConn dugout. It's not the head coach, Jim Penders, because he's the third base coach. And Penders is...
He can come ask who it was, though. And that's exactly... I mean, Coach Penders is just coming down and saying, who was it? I mean, that way you have an idea.
Oh, 2. Winkle does not chase. What's lost when we talk about Oklahoma State and all the power, it's a really good pitching staff under Rob Walton. He's always done a fantastic job.
Oh, he has. And you look at it, Jackson Elliott was outstanding Friday night. The back of this bullpen has been good all year. Rob Walton, head coach experience. Oral Roberts played at Oklahoma State.
And there's Winkle down swinging. For more coverage of the Division I baseball regionals and interactive brackets, go to NCAA.com. Want to see how this all lines up in the grand scheme of things and the super regional matchups. Go to NCAA.com to check it out. Winner here goes to Lubbock to take on Texas Tech. Back to the pitching staff in Oklahoma State. This is a group that's recorded 7 shutouts this season, tied for 5th nationally. And we saw them shut out Harvard 2-0 in the opener. And that man, Jake Lyons, was fantastic out of the bullpen.
Game against Nebraska, fell behind early. Parker Scott struggled. Jake Lyons came in and did what he's done all year, gave him some length. You know, a long guy it's a forgotten guy sometimes in college baseball to give your team a chance to come back, and they came back in the 9th inning to win that ball game.
Went 92 pitches. That was a game that Oklahoma State trailed 5-0. They trailed early on in this game, 1-0.
That's not unusual for Oklahoma State to come back.
Half their wins come from behind fashion. Topa, leadoff man, 2-1. Brady Basso getting loose. That misses outside. Have not seen Basso this tournament for Oklahoma State. And the count is now full. Oklahoma State trying to find the right mix out of the bullpen to close this one out and advance to the Super Regionals. The first time since 2016. Also the last time they reached Omaha. Inside, and it's a 1-out walk.
Well, you didn't want to put somebody on at this point, because the guy coming to place got 10 knocks in this tournament. One of them's left the ballpark. He has just been Mr. Everything offensively.
That home run to left, said he was actually going up, trying to hit a home run. And from the look of that swing, you can tell he got everything into it. Fouls that one off. And this is it, swinging out of his shoes, and it worked. Such an important blow as well. Get rid of that bat. That gave Wallace the cushion to have confidence to work with.
Aren't you trying to hit a home run, though, every time you come to the plate?
According to Prado, he's not.
Okay. It's pretty talented to be able to go say, this is the time I'm going to homer. I'm not sure.
Put a little extra into it.
Yeah, I guess.
Got him. Trouble. 2 free passes in a row. Like that time he was going up, maybe he was thinking, I'm going to get hit.
Well, I think you go to the plate. I mean, there are times when there's 2 outs and nobody on, or 2 outs and a man at first, and you're thinking, I've got to get something I can drive into the gap, no question, because that's the only way we're probably going to score this inning when you have 2 outs. But all of a sudden, Battenfield has some trouble, and this is not his M.O. One of the things he does very well is limit base runners.
Only the second batter that Battenfield has hit this season. And here's Michael Woodworth. Can change the complexion quickly. He's got a 5-hit performance to his credit. Ultra athletic. This could be 2. There's 1. Nice throw for Moore. And that's how you work out of it. Battenfield walked 1, hit 1, but then he gets the double play. With the trip to the Super Regionals on the line, Josh Holliday turns to his energy guy. The senior Joe Linhart comes up with his first quality start of the season. Saw him lay out to catch a popped up bunt. Alex Garcia got him on the board with a solo home run. Carson McCusker, this guy has been the difference. 3 fantastic defensive plays in left field, and also a 2-run double in the 6th to give Oklahoma State the 3-1 lead.
Well, the first time since the first game of this tournament, UConn offense has struggled with runners in scoring position. They struggled in game 1. They were 3 for 16. They have not been able to get those guys in tonight, and that's the difference in the game so far.
Jacob Wallace back out after facing 2 to wrap up the 6th. Houston Morrill has a couple of singles and has struck out. Wallace has struck out 8 of the last 9 Oklahoma State batters he's faced.
You got this, Jerry. You're all right. You're okay.
This guy gets ahead of you. Definitely has the ability to put you away.
Well struck center field. Woodworth is chasing this one and makes the catch 2 steps in front of the wall.
Woodward is the second baseman, folks, by trade, but he doesn't play this play like. He's in right center. This turns, crossover step, and then accelerates all the way through. Doesn't panic. Right up against the wall. His normal position is second base, but that's an outstanding job of playing center field right there.
UConn made the decision to put him in center with Mason Fioli starting the first game. Fioli gets a lot of fly ball outs. With the speed that's on display, they wanted Woodworth out there to cover more ground, and he stayed there for the duration of this regional. Here's Funk with 1 down. Well, that's the hardest hit ball that we've seen off Wallace, considering
it's only been 2 been play.
The second ball that's been hit off Wallace. But that is what Penders did point out. When Wallace starts to get tired, they're able to tell pretty quickly because people are starting to line up, getting the barrel on it, and you have hits like that. Even if it's an out, it's an allowed out.
That pitch he just threw right there was 95 miles an hour, so he still got some giddy up.
Painting right there.
You're not going to be looking for the express and hit the local.
See ya, says Wallace. Yeah, you're right. Still some giddy up there.
Climb the ladder, 2 strikes. You see it as a hitter. You just cannot get that barrel up on top of it.
Simpson 0 for 3, all strikeouts. Does not go.
You've really got to force Wallace. It's easier said than done before I finish the statement. You got to force him to get the ball down. If it's at the belt, spin rate and velocity, it's just next to impossible to get on top of it.
Those high spin rate four-seam fastballs, that's in vogue right now to counter the type of swing that has been dubbed the launch angle swing. And that's just what it's been dubbed. Every batted ball has launch angle, but the people trying to elevate, that's the pitch that is usually working. Simpson to right field. Fedko circling around it. And a 1-2-3 inning. We go to the 8th. It's getting to be clutch time with the Supers on the line. We'll take you to St. Louis after Game 4 of the Stanley Cup Final. Plus inside the Dodgers' 41 start. UCLA, Oklahoma, vying for the Women's College World Series title. Sports Center after the Astros and Mariners on ESPN, as well as the ESPN app. The Pedialyte, key for John Topa. Cramped up yesterday, had an IV, but he is back starting this game for the Huskies as they try to mount the comeback. Down 3-1 here at the top of the 8th. Pat Winkle will lead off. Hayden Battlefield got into trouble with a one-out walk and a hit batter, but rolled a 6-4-3 double play to get out of it.
Don't want to stay right there. That was a really good hack at a pitch to a guy that's got some pop.
He's already left the yard once. That was game number 1 of this regional, and a bizarre loss against Nebraska. Bizarre because UConn had 19 hits, struck out 16 batters, only struck out 6 times themselves. Jim Pinder said that it's just the way the game goes sometimes. Couldn't really figure it out.
3 for 16 with runners in scoring position was the difference.
2-2 to Winkle. Off-speed, Battenfield with the strikeout, his second of the night.
You get the count back even, having to use the fastball, and then drop the breaking ball in the outside corner. Give up on it, comes back, nips the corner.
First pitch ball to Christian Fedko.
You know, you start out in the first game, get 19 hits, 17 in the second, 22 a season high in Game 3, and then 13 in these last 2 ball games. Offense has started to slow down in that run category as well.
Credit to the OSU pitching staff as well as Morrill. That's about a minute to get position for that one.
Battenfield, what he's done all year long. He's been that bridge. He's just come in, he throws strikes, he attacks the zone, doesn't give you many free play. It was so unusual in the 7th to see him walk and hit a batter. That's just something he just doesn't do.
Recovered nicely there. This is Paul Gazzo. There's one single on a weak ground ball that was put in the right place where Linhart could not do anything about it. And it's quickly 0-2.
Don't get ahead of yourself if you're pitching in this scenario. You hear the crowd, don't get ahead of yourself. Make a good pitch. The Huskies have really grounded innings out too. They just have them go 1, 2, 3 many times. They keep pushing even though they've got 2 outs.
They've only been retired in order once tonight. That was back in the second inning with 3 straight strikeouts from Joe Linhart. You're really seeing the advantage of opening up a regional with a win on display. The Oklahoma State bullpen, a lot more fresh than their counterparts from Storrs, Connecticut. One, two. Pattonville gets it. The OSU faithful, they appreciate it.
NCAA Baseball Regionals is presented by Capital One. What's in your wallet? And in part by Skittles. Taste the rainbow.
Oklahoma City, a fabulous, if not unexpected host to this opening regional. Chickasaw Bricktown Ballpark. Oklahoma State forced to move the regional here after flooding in Stillwater at Allie P. Reynolds Stadium. But their fans have shown up. It's been a great week for Oklahoma State here in Oklahoma City. Softball team playing in the Women's College World Series. And the baseball team closing in on a spot in the Super Regionals. They will have to travel to Lubbock to take on Texas Tech. They get this win. Bottom 8. A 3-1 lead for the Cowboys. The job is simple for Jacob Wallace. Keep it within striking distance as they try to turn it over to the 9th.
20th pitch into the 40s in last night's appearance. But still effective. You can see right there. Still got really good stuff.
It's had one ball off the bat of Morrill. Come about 5 feet from leaving the park. Other than that, look great. 0-2 to Navigato.
He comes back with the high fastball. That went to the breaking ball. Boy, it's in a great location right there.
Third strikeout for Jacob Wallace.
Start forward, about halfway there, you're trying to hold up, just can't do it.
10 strikeouts tonight for Oklahoma State. They struck out 17 times last night. That strikeout number is irrelevant depending on what the final score says. And right now,
well, they're looking for 3 outs right now.
Oklahoma State up 3-1. Boone has the biggest blast for the Cowboys in this regional. 3-run shot to give them the lead in the 9th against Nebraska. And he's down 0-2. They opened with a 2-0 win against Harvard. Then faced Nebraska, a 6-5 win because of this man, Trevor Boone. Last night, fell to UConn 5-2 to force this deciding final game. Make it back-to-back for Wallace.
It's exceptional stuff. Can't say it enough. He faced 7 batters last night, struck out all 7 of them. He has faced 7 batters tonight. He struck out 4 of those 7. He's retired all 14 that he's faced.
This is Bryce Carter. Heads up base running by Bryce Carter. Single to right field. The throw was errant.
Yeah.
Moved up from first to second. And later scored off the bat of McCusker. He may not score unless he moves up on that error.
We got to throw a strike here. See if Carter can gear up. This is the one that's dangerous. 2-0, looking fastball. Just can't get on top of that one that's up there out of the zone.
Fresno State and Stanford fighting for the right to go to Starkville to take on Mississippi State in the Super Regionals. That game is underway. It will start on the ESPN app. Ryan Jensen, pitcher for Fresno State, has just been selected by the Chicago Cubs with the 27th overall pick. Two. And Wallace strikes out the side in what could be his final outing as a UConn Husky, unless UConn can get the bats going. Fedko, Phillips, Winkle with a season on the line next. Baseball Regionals presented by Capital One. Lauren Galindo here with Keith Moreland in Oklahoma City. We are closing in on a regional winner. Oklahoma State, a 3-1 lead over UConn. Winner goes to Lubbock to take on Texas Tech in the Super Regionals. The Red Raiders beating Dallas Baptist 3-0 in the regional final, led by Josh Young, who not long ago became the number 8 overall pick by the Texas Rangers. Peyton Badenfield comes out to try to get the final 3 outs and send Oklahoma State to the Supers for the first time since 2016, when they rode the wave of momentum all the way to Omaha. Kyler Fedko, first pitch swinging. Cabinets coming in, and Oklahoma State is 2 outs away. Close to another memorable celebration here at Chickasaw Bricktown Ballpark. This is the place that they went 4-1 in, including a win against West Virginia to claim the Big 12 tournament title. This was played here 2 weeks ago. Thad Phillips looks at ball 1. UConn trying to rally. and get to the Supers for the second time in program history. The last and only time in 2011. Joe Linhart got the start and was excellent. Worked out of jams early in the first and in the fifth. Excellent defense behind him as well, with the trio of highlight plays by Carson McCusker in left field. McCusker also the difference at the plate with a 2-run double to give UConn the lead. McCusker now watches as Noah Seifert is a defensive replacement in left field. Run out of way.
I tell you what a job. After coming into the game, Peyton Battenfield, he walked the second batter he faced. He hit the third one. He got a double play ball. And since then, he's retired 5 in a row. Really done an outstanding job coming out of this bullpen. An out away. This crowd will let you know what's fixing to happen.
Lubbock, here we come. Oklahoma State, super regional bound for the first time since 2016. They will have another shot at Texas Tech, a team that swept them at Danlaw Field during Big 12 regular season play.
You just got to give a lot of credit to the pitching. The Huskers had really been swinging the bat really, really well. I mean, exceptionally well in this regional. You go back to the 6th inning. This is the big blow of the ball game. Buster's 2-run double separated the game. He's also made 2 or 3 really good low defensive plays in the outfield. He is our player of the game.
Carson McCusker, our Capital One player of the game. The go-ahead 2-run double in the 6th. 3 fantastic defensive plays out in left field. And Oklahoma State, some time to celebrate and then regroup and get ready for Texas Tech in Lubbock. For Keith Moreland and our entire crew, I'm Logan Galindo. Thank you so much for watching